Hey everybody, it's Shadowstar here to go over my thoughts and review for Smallville Season 1. So, before I get into it, prior to seeing this, I had never seen Smallville before, so all of these reviews will be my initial thoughts and first feelings, because I'd never seen it before. Obviously, I'd heard bits and pieces here and there, I knew a few details of course, it's Smallville after all, it's got a big impact, and honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I knew it was an old show, I knew it might be a bit different, but I didn't expect how different it would be. By that I mean, it's very, very episodic in nature. For one thing, most of the episodes don't really have an ongoing plot. They're usually just a one-off plot that never impacts anything ever again, and the only thing that really carries on is the occasional little drama here and there with Clark and his friends, or the very rare instance that Lex might be investigating anything. So really, there's nothing to keep you hooked for each episode. Compared to, say, other shows like Arrow and Flash, where every episode needs to give you a previously just to remind you about all the little plot details that carry on through each episode. Whereas here, it's like, you could skip half these episodes and wouldn't miss anything. A lot of these episodes, you could just read a quick blurb and move on to the next one. And most of them aren't that special. But still, there were parts of the show that I enjoyed. I mean, the characters, all of them are mostly alright. I mean, Clark's alright. He's a bit of a kind of a generic character so far. I mean, sure, he's becoming a hero, but I know how the show ends-ish, so I know not to expect too much. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, we can only go so far with this show. He's never going to call himself Superman. They're only going to make sly references here and there. All in all, there's not much in this season that really, this season is very self-contained. I know they introduce characters here and there later in the show. I don't know when exactly, but I know they do. Whereas here, it's like, okay, not much happens, which is fine. You want to build it slow and start, but yeah. But oh well, Clark's alright, his family's alright, they're all nice characters. Obviously, this show is very, very, very American. And I know some of you are probably thinking, what the hell does that mean? Of course it's American. Yeah, but here's the thing. When a show focuses itself on school and football, well, American football and high school dramas, it just reeks of America, because I think to myself, well, this is just lost on me completely. Every time I see a show like that, I have to sit there and go, I wonder how much of this is accurate to American high schools and how much of it is just stupid crap. I'll never know, but either way, I just find it annoying. I've never cared for all this stupid high school drama and all this stuff. It's like, do people really do that? God, America's weird. Or maybe their shows are just weird. One or the other. But yeah, that's what half of it is. Speaking of drama, we've got Lana, who so far barely contributes anything. Sure, she's got the nice scene here and there, maybe when she talks about her parents, those are some nice scenes. But otherwise, it's like, half the time it's just like, let's create drama because Clark likes her, but she's in a relationship. I know it's not just I know every show does it, it's not just superhero shows, but why do all these shows need to do this stupid plot of, oh, I like someone who likes somebody else? It's tired and old and repetitive. Yes, I know this show predates a lot of shows I've watched, but the point still stands. Get a new plot. No one cares about love triangles. Does anyone sit there going, oh, look at this love triangle between Clark and Lana? Ugh. I've never really cared for that stuff, and I'm never going to. Like I said, she has her nice scenes here and there, there's a few, but like I said, because every episode is episodic, most of them don't stand out to me. Most of them, I can't really think of them. I can't really think of scenes and go, oh, this was the cool scene with this episode. Other than maybe episode 9, where that one investigator guy was working with Clark, he was the closest thing we had to a villain who wasn't just a generic, oh, kid gets powers and does something crazy. And because it's always teenagers getting powers, it doesn't feel as threatening as, say, somebody older with some grand plan. In fact, there's no one with a grand plan. There's no ongoing villain. I mean, yes, Lex is a little suspicious, and obviously because we know he's Lex Luthor, we suspect something, but he hasn't done anything villainous in this season. In fact, it's quite the opposite. He hasn't done anything. He's still obviously Lex is obviously still one of my favorite characters because he's obviously more than just a generic character, and because we know something could happen in the future with him, I don't know when, but obviously things are going to happen, that's the only reason I'm interested in him. Obviously, he's got the interesting dynamic with his father, who his father feels more like a villain, but even then, nothing happens. The only other character I enjoyed, of course, was Chloe. Of course, pretty quickly I latched onto her and thought, okay, this is a character I enjoy. And I like that they didn't rush the idea of putting her and Clark together. Because for the first half of the season, I'm thinking, why isn't Clark going after Chloe? She's a perfect character, and she's way better than Lana, and it's like Lana's taken. Then you actually start to go with them being together. You're like, I actually like this idea. I know obviously it won't last because it's Smallville. Lois Lane will show up eventually. I don't know when, but so I know it won't last. I don't know how long it will last. I don't know how long any of these characters stay in the show either. And that is the fun part. Like, obviously there are some characters, like, I know Lana's not going anywhere, at least not anywhere soon, but at the end of the season, Chloe says she's leaving, Lana's boyfriend is leaving, and Lex's father is possibly in danger. Lana's in danger too, but I know she's not going to die. So, I'm curious, will Lex's father die? No idea. Oh, and in the final episode, they have the cliffhanger where, like, there's a tornado and Clark's father also is going somewhere. So, like, there's quite a few possibilities where, obviously, the finale, it wasn't a finale, it's a cliffhanger episode where, obviously always finales have cliffhangers, but it's in the sense of, the finale is more like a two-parter, and the second part is the start of the next season, and I haven't watched the episode yet, so I have no idea how season 2 will pick up. And I don't know if it'll pick up right up in a moment, or if there'll be a time skip and we see the damage later on, sort of like what Flash does. There's numerous things that can happen. Is Chloe going to be a bit more of a recurring character now that she's moving, or will she stay? Will we ever see Lana's boyfriend again, or is that the end of it and she'll slowly break up, and that's maybe when eventually Clark will get with her? Don't know. It could happen. We've always got to have that. I mean, if it's like the love triangle that always happens in season 1, then the boyfriend has to go somewhere, just like Tommy and Eddie. But anyway... But like I said, then Clark's father goes out into a tornado, and will he die? I don't know if he survives. I don't know if any characters die and when they die, so that's the intriguing part. I'm watching is this the end? Who knows? And what's going to happen with Lex's father? How long will he be around? I have a sneaking suspicion he will die in the series. I don't know when, or even if, or I'm just talking out of my ass. But yeah, like I said, I still enjoyed it. There were fun moments here and there, and obviously you've got to think about when it was made. TV shows in the early 2000s weren't these big grand shows that we have now. They were shows back when you only had 4 TV channels and you didn't have streaming, so it could be like, let's just watch this episode, Smallville's on. And because of that nature, you didn't want to have a long winding plot, because then you could just be like, let's just watch it. It doesn't matter what's on, it's just a random episode. And I can see that appeal back in the day. And I could probably see the appeal, if I was watching it in real time and it's just a fun little episode here and there. But I'm so used to shows that have a grand plot that I'm like, where's this going? And it's mostly going nowhere. Like I said, the vast majority of the episodes going nowhere. Some people have said it gets a bit better, and I'm gonna hope they're true. But one season in, and other than the finale, and the only thing that got me hooked was the finale, where it has no conclusion, and it's really a two-parter. So yeah, my initial thoughts on Smallville Season 1's like, alright, it's okay, I can see why people love it, but I'm like, okay, when people think back fondly of this show, are they thinking about later seasons? I don't know. I've not heard anything. I've not heard anyone say what season is or isn't good or bad. So I don't know the general consensus, which on one hand is good. On the other hand, I'm like, okay, so Do people think back fondly of season 1? And if they do, I'd be interested to know why. Or is it just nostalgia? Have you rewatched season 1 lately? I have no idea. So yeah, but let's hope it gets better. I do know random characters will show up later in the seasons. I don't know when things will ramp up with Lex. But so far, season 1 was very small, but the ending left some promise that could change and shake things up for season 2. The question is, though, will season 2 open? It'll open with a big episode that concludes what we just had, but then will it progress into a grander story, or will season 2 kind of go back to season 1's style of a lot of things are kind of generic villain of the episode, and most things aren't continuing with them very much? I'm expecting a lot of drama. I have heard there's going to be drama. I wonder when Lois will show up, and I wonder when they'll go to Metropolis more often. I don't know. We'll just have to see. I have no idea when anything's happening, so yeah, I've got another 9 seasons of this damn show to get through, and I do plan on watching every goddamn episode, so I'll get through it eventually. Anyway, that's my complete messy ramblings on season 1. I didn't know what to say going into this review. It's not one where I can clearly map out, because, with other shows I could map out and say, right, here's the important story beats we're going to talk about. There's not really any important story beats. Lex occasionally investigates Clark, he gives up on it, then that other guy's investigating Clark, then we don't know what happens because Clark's father goes after him in a tornado, and who knows what'll happen, but other than that, not much happened throughout the season, so yeah. It's very tricky. I just had to give a brief summary of certain characters. Some were memorable, like Lana, who's kind of here, and Chloe. Then there's forgettable ones, like Clark's other friend, whose name I don't even remember, and barely has any plots whatsoever. Oh, and then there's Lana's boyfriend, who I don't care for at all, and he was just a dick in season 1, and I won't care whatsoever if he never comes back. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough about a show that I have no idea what I even think about, but that's that. I will eventually, obviously, get around to watching season 2. I'm about to start watching it. I'm curious what's going to happen. As I just said, who knows? I've got some predictions. Will Chloe leave? Will Lex's father die? What will happen? What will happen with Lana? I mean, she'll survive. And that's the interesting thing. No one has found out Clark's secret through this whole season. His family already knew, but when and if will Lana find out? Or Chloe? Or Lex? Those 3 I have a feeling will all find out eventually, but I don't know when. Lana might, since he's about to run into a tornado to save her. Also, the car flew up into the air. But anyway, I'm rambling again. I've got to end this damn thing. Anyway, I will see you next time for my review of Smallville Season 2, and other things as well. See you next time, guys.